All right, great. So thanks everybody for joining again. Today's class, February 23rd, 2023. We're going to be talking about resumes, and we're going to be finishing up actually on Microsoft Word. So this is our final class. This is the culmination of everything that we've learned over the last couple of weeks on Microsoft Word. So that would include everything from just formatting text, hyperlinks, bullets, printing, saving as a PDF, saving different versions of the same document, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to learn a lot today. We're going to be putting together a resume. And I know a lot of you may not have access to Microsoft Word right in front of you. So I'll just be demonstrating using a resume that I created myself. And I'll be sharing that with you guys at the end of the class so that you can do what you would with it, maybe edit it and change it around and make it your own. If you're applying for a job soon, but I'll show you guys some skills and some best practices for your resume to help you have a better, stronger resume going out into the job market, because it's just super competitive out there right now in the job market. So you want to make sure that if you're applying for a job, you have a competitive resume and that you hit the things that employers like to see. And so we're going to talk about some of those best practices today and how you can make your resume jump off the paper or the computer, wherever they're reviewing it at, so that you get a fair shake. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my resume and share my screen with you guys. So let's do that. I'm actually going to go off camera so you guys can focus on just looking at my screen here. Okay.
फिकर सरों में नहीं.
All right, you guys can see my screen now, and here we go. So you should be able to see now my screen. Is that accurate? Can you guys see my screen? You can give me a thumbs up, Zipporah. Can you see my screen now? Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right, so yeah, so this is my resume. I just changed the name at the top, a little bit of the information. But this is the resume that I used. Someone might have a kid in the back. Would you mind going on to mute? Okay, I think we got everybody now. Perfect. So this is my resume that I use to apply for the job that I'm currently in. And you'll know that it may look a little bit wordy. It's a little bit wordier than I like, but this takes me to my first point of resumes. And one of the main things that I learned in my recent application for new jobs and just being out there was that you have to have a lot of keywords in your resume. So it's very important, because if you're applying for a job, especially if you're applying for a job online, it's very important that your resume hit all the keywords that are mentioned in the job announcement, because typically a computer is actually going to be reviewing everything that is in your resume. So a real person is not even looking at your resume. It used to be, you walk in, you hand your resume to somebody, they'd look over it while you sat in front of them. They might ask you a few questions, but that's all changed today. Today, computers are reviewing resumes because people are applying for jobs online, and when they apply online, they typically get quite a bit of resume traffic, and a lot of folks applying for the same job. Sometimes there might be thousands of people applying for one job. And so obviously there's no way that one person can go through all of those resumes and figure out who's the most qualified, who do they want to interview, et cetera. And so they use AI, or artificial intelligence, and they put in certain keywords, and they tell the computer, like, hey, I want to see these keywords in a resume. And then if your resume doesn't have those, a human being's never even going to look at it. So that artificial intelligence will review your resume electronically. It'll look for certain keywords, and then it kicks out a score based on, like, hey, if you have all those keywords and you hit it, then maybe you get a 100, and it forwards that resume then to the real people that are going to be reviewing resumes. But it's not going to kick a lot to them. So it's very important that you have a really good resume that matches what they're looking for in the job announcement. So you have to be creative. I'm not telling anybody to lie or embellish their experience, but you have to be creative sometimes. When it says, do you have experience in risk management? Maybe you've never had a job in risk management, but have you done risk management in a way where you looked at 5 or 6 options and you assessed the risk and were able to determine the best course of action based on your analysis? That's risk management. Maybe you didn't call it that. So it's really important to be able to get creative with your past experiences and being able to articulate those in your resume to match what they're putting on the announcement. So we'll just start at the top here as we review it. And I'm going to send this to you guys at the end. I'll email everyone that registered because we have your emails. So you don't have to take a lot of notes here, but I just want to kind of highlight some of the areas that are important. And this is a resume, by the way, that was a format that was recommended to me by an organization that all they do is help veterans transfer and transition from military service into corporate America. And so this was the one that they recommended. And it did well for me. It got me my job. So I'm going to recommend it to you guys. And so at the top, you just have your name, your full address, or you can just put your city and state. You don't necessarily need to put your full address. One of the reasons that's not required anymore is to make sure that folks are not, how do we say this? They're not judging your qualifications based on your address, right? Because we all know if you have someone's full address, you can look up where they live, you can look at their house online, you can, maybe even make some judgments about that person based on their address. And that is not, that's not good. We don't want that to happen. And a lot of companies now, because of that, do not require you to put your full address on your resume. So it's okay to put just the city and the state where you live at, because an employer does want to know approximately where you live at. If you're applying, for instance, a job in Seattle and you live in Portland, and it's a local job, they want to know that because one of their questions in the interview may be, well, do you plan on relocating to Seattle if you don't already live there? So the next section we have here is the professional summary section. This is your chance to tell all the highlights of your career here. So it's very important to be able to, again, to articulate using some creative words. Also, anytime you have an opportunity to write, it's always good to use numbers. So those would be those quantitative numbers where you're able to put like a number to something that you did. It's one thing to say, well, I was very good at this. There's another thing to say, I was ranked top 1% in amongst my coworkers, right? That 1% gives it a number that they can understand. If you just say you're great at it, that is objective, and it's hard to really understand if you're really actually great at it. And so this is, you can see here, I wrote just fraud investigation manager, risk manager, military veteran, 15 years of proven experience assessing risk, implementing fraud management processes, and increasing risk awareness. I talk here about excellent interpersonal skills, the ability to communicate complex issues clearly and concisely while maintaining high levels of confidentiality, because that's one of the most important things in what I do is the ability to, understand internal processes and things going on at the company while also maintaining confidentiality of, could we have access to sometimes sensitive information. Ability to negotiate, provide analytical and quantitative data, trends to back up assumptions, to develop business cases, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really your chance, a short paragraph, maybe a couple of sentences to describe who you are, what your strengths are, and primarily when someone's reading this, you want to convey what are you going to bring to their team that they have to have, right? So that's your chance to do that. That's your pitch right there. That's what some may call your elevator pitch. If somebody asks you what you do, what do you tell them in the elevator when you only have 30 to 45 seconds? Just below the professional summary here, we have our some bullets, and we've talked about how to create bullets using Microsoft Word. Just to review, it's the button just up here at the top. And zoom in a little bit for you. So this button just up here at the top is, if you click this button, this is where you can add different types of bullets right here. We know that we can also do numbers from here and select any one of these options, and you would be able to put in a numbered list. So I'm going to go ahead and click off of that. And so here I highlighted a few of the things that I felt were strong points of mine that I wanted to highlight for anybody reviewing my resume. Also, one of the things that I made sure that I put in here was things that I saw in the job announcement. And so to your point, every time you apply for a job, and this is very important, every position you apply for, and it wasn't this way in the past, every position that you apply for, it's very important that you have a new resume, a brand new one to match the job that you're applying for. That's so important because so many times you can just have one resume and you go out and say, here's my resume, everybody, and you're applying for an analytics job over here, but using that same resume, you might be applying for a manager job at a bank, and then you use that same resume to maybe go apply for a job in healthcare, and it just doesn't transition over well. It's important that for every position that you apply for, you really take care to read the job description, understand what they are asking for, and then create a resume using your own experiences that as closely as you can matches what they're looking for in the job description. And so that's the end of the professional summary. So you have a paragraph and you have some bullet points on things that you do well. Under that, you want to have your experience. So this would be your professional experience. As you can see, you want to go in reverse chronological order. So the position I was in prior to my current one, so this is again the resume I used to get my current position, was with the U.S. Small Business Administration. And it says here from 2014 to 2016. And then I had a little bit of a gap, and then I came back in 2017 until present. So at the time when I applied, present was 2000 and what was it, 21? Yeah, 2021. And so your top line for your professional experience, again, should always be the current position that you're in. Sometimes people say, well, do I need a job to get a job? I think you do if you want to continue to increase and get better jobs. To get one, you don't necessarily, but I feel like I have always had the best luck getting in my next position if I was good at my current position. And so sometimes you just have to get a job so that you can get the next job. And so this just shows again that my title during those two different stints. So I was initially in 2014 and 16 an investigative analyst and then a special agent from 2017 to present. You give a quick summary of what you did uh, or a summary of that job description, and then you just get right into the bullet points. So here, and the bullet points under each position are going to be things that you accomplished at that position. So they're looking for results, right? What is a hiring manager looking for in your past experience? They're looking that you created results and you got things done, and they want to see that demonstrated in these bullet points. So here you can say, I said contributing member of the Suspicious Activity Review Team, U.S. Attorney's Office, initiated simultaneous, ongoing, proactive investigations. Here I talk about coached, mentored, and developed 100+ investigators and agents at law enforcement and government agencies. Here I talk about demonstrated ability to multitask and while carrying a caseload of 24 investigations. Here I talk about featured speaker to a group of over 200 CFEs, earned 4.8 out of 5 performance reviews. So I'm highlighting things that show the scope of work, right? Because it's one thing to say, I collaborated with internal investigators on a case. It's another thing on a lot of cases versus I collaborated with over 300+ banks related to a large fraud scheme, right? So it's important to get those numbers in there because that shows the scale of what you're doing. And by scale, I mean it shows the width, the depth, and just how big was the projects that you were working on. So going down again in reverse chronological order, the previous one is for me, it was 2016 to 17. It was with the U.S. Army. Here was my title at the time, a short summary, and then a couple of bullet points on what I did here. And then some time at the US DEA, from 4 years, and then going all the way backwards, I went all the way back to my time in the military from 2003 until 2008. And then a couple bullet points here. Again, you notice that it gets a little bit shorter towards the end as I go in reverse chronological order. There's a couple reasons for that. Probably the best reason is I don't remember what I did in 2003 to 2008. That was 20 years ago. So it's hard sometimes to go back. I do encourage you though to keep any evaluations that you get at your jobs, promotion packages, anything that you put together that summarizes what you've done, because you may always want to just be able to reference back to those things. The other reason is this is the most relevant experiences up here, right? This is the experience in the top of my resume, this job that I currently was in. That is the position that qualifies me for the next position. What I did 20 years ago, honestly, it was a completely different field. There's some things that maybe carry over into my new position, but a lot of the things, because this is my career track, right? Like I started here, then I went to the DEA, and then I went there, and then finally to the United States Small Business Administration. This is the position where I really learned the skills that I felt like launched me into the next position, which is the one that I'm currently at. And so that's why it's most important to bring that experience in your most recent position if you can. Lastly, here we have your education and your certifications. So I got my bachelor's degree here at Virginia State University, and I also, at the time, was a certified fraud examiner. Still am, actually. So you throw that in there, and then any technical competencies you may want to throw in. And this is where we come in at Mission Africa, is we're helping you guys understand and increase your skills with Microsoft Office Suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. And then I've also used some programs, and this is just me, Power BI, SQL, and Tableau, which are some technical programs for running queries and working with a lot of data. And then I talk about here, I'm just familiar with Mac and Macintosh and Microsoft Windows operating systems. And that was my resume. For you, if you have any unique skills, it's important to put those either under education or technical competencies, wherever it works best. So again, at the end of the class here today, I will make sure that I share my resume with you all. And again, this is just to go by. You can use it to maybe help jog your memory and create some ideas. Feel free to just come in here if you would, and just, you can change it to your name, you can change it to your phone number, and feel free to just edit this as you would like. So that's my resume that I wanted to share with you guys. Let's see here. I had a couple of tips that I wrote down that I also wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to turn my camera back on, and I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. So how's everybody doing? That was a lot of information. Zipporah, did that help a little bit? Just understanding what it looks like and what you want it to look like. Yeah, it's so important to have a good professional resume out there. So a couple of things I wrote down here to help you put together a comprehensive resume. I already talked about the first point. Make it quantitative. You have to have numbers in there. It really is going to go a long ways towards showing the scale and the impact. Now, how do you come up with those numbers? That's part of wherever you're doing now. It's very important to take notes. What type of scope do you have? How many people are you affecting? How many programs are you affecting? Is there a program that you made an improvement in? Did it affect hundreds of employees internally, or did it affect your customers where you work at? All of that stuff is very important to show your impact at your organization. So it's important that even in your current position, you're always thinking about the future, and you're capturing data on what you did, how you did it, so that when you go back to update your resume, you really have some meat to work with, and you can add that, and that's going to add a lot of quality to your resume. Let's see here. Keywords. So this is going to be very important, and I'll demonstrate this here shortly. Again, over here, if you have keywords in the job announcement and it's asking for certain qualifications, you want to do your best to match your resume with those qualifications. Because again, oftentimes you have a computer that is reviewing your resume. And so if you don't have a lot of those keywords, a human being's never actually going to look at your resume. And that's obviously what you want. You just want a chance. You want a human to look at your resume and give you that interview. And then when you get the interview, you use your people skills, that big smile, and you go get the job. So that's a couple things there. Let's see. Okay, and then the last one here that I also mentioned just a little bit ago was every time that you apply for a new job, you do want to have a new resume. Back in the day, we used to just have one resume and we'd pass it out and hope people liked it and that they would give us a call. Today, because it's so competitive in the job market, it's so important that, if you're applying for 5 jobs, you need to have 5 different resumes. Okay. Not saying that your experience changed, but the way that you communicate your experience is going to change, which is why it's important to have various versions of your resume. So I know when I was applying for multiple jobs, I'll actually just show you guys what it looked like. Let me share my screen here. Just give me a second to pull up the folder. Let's see. Okay. So when I applied for jobs back in, what was it? Did I apply? It was about February until September of 2021. I'm trying to move this thing out of the way so I can show this to you guys. There we go. Okay. So yeah, it was about February until September of 2021. And it was a lot. I applied for a lot of jobs. So as you can see here on my screen, I applied for jobs. These are all the different companies that I applied for: Affirm, Amazon, Amazon Web Services, BECU Bank, Department of Transportation, FDIC, OIG, Home Street, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Stripe, Umpqua, Walmart, you name it, I was applying. I was applying with a ton of places. If you even go into Amazon, within Amazon, I applied for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positions. Under each one of these folders, each one of these positions that I applied for, I had a different version of my resume. Okay. Now, why did I do that again? Because let's see if I have the job description, because this is the job description for that particular job announcement. Because every job description was a little bit different. And right here, they would tell me exactly what they were looking for. The ideal candidate will be able to exercise strong judgment in areas where policies are not well defined. What do you think I put in my resume? They just told me that they're looking for an excellent decision maker in areas where policies are not well defined. If I've ever done that in my time, in my work history, I'm going to make that one of my bullet points, because again, I want to make sure that I'm getting that hit. Operates with a high level of integrity and discretion to handle confidential information. Once again, they're telling me right there what they're looking for. I guarantee you those keywords: integrity, discretion, confidential. I guarantee you the computer's going to be looking for those keywords in your resume. Understands the implications of new information for both current and future problem solving and decision making. So they're giving me everything that they're looking for right there. It's up to me to make sure that I get those things into my resume. And again, this is why I added SQL here. Which is a program I did not know when I started applying. I started to learn a little bit about it. And then once I learned a little bit about it, I added it to my resume. It's because here it asks for experience with SQL and Microsoft Excel. So those are things that I wanted to make sure I was able to put into my resume and feel good about. So that's how you want to do that. So it's just very important to make sure that that's matching what you have. So now I want to share a program with you all that I was able to use that helped me with reviewing my resume. So it's this one here. It's called Jobalytics. So I will go all the way in and start over here right from the top. And let's just look for Jobalytics. So I want you guys to write that down. that is going to be a really good resource for you if you're applying online, or even if you're just, applying for jobs with a paper resume. That's completely fine. But this is going to be a tool that's going to help you make sure you get all those keywords that you need into your resume. So jobalytics.co is the website. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And you would want to do this from your computer, wherever you're going to be working on your resume. So if you're going to be on a computer at home, you would want to go onto the website, go to jobalytics.co, and then hit add to Chrome. If you're in Chrome or whatever you're in, there should be a button there to say add. So an extension, what is an extension? It's something that you can add to your internet browser. So this is our internet browser, this window. We are right now using Chrome, which is this icon in the bottom right here that has the green, the red, and the yellow with the blue in the middle. This is also Chrome here. And so if you use Chrome, you might use Firefox. Let's actually open up Firefox and see what happens when we type in jobalytics.co. So it looks like it wants to add it to Chrome. So maybe you have to be in Chrome to use this specific one. But I use Chrome anyway. So let's just continue with that. So let's say add to Chrome here. And I already have it. So if you did not have it, it would just do a really quick download. And then it's going to go up here. And you see this little, looks like a puzzle piece in the top right here. Let me just zoom in just a little bit. So in the top right corner of your Chrome browser, you have this little puzzle piece here and it says extensions. So you would want to click that. And then here, you would want to make sure that it's running in the background. So again, it's just a small little attachment that goes onto your web browser that enables it to do something it couldn't do before. So in this case, Jobalytics is going to take your resume and a job description that you pull up. It's going to compare the two, and it's going to tell you how well you're doing. Okay. And when I say how well you're doing, how many of the keywords in the job description are in your resume? And if a computer was to review your resume right now, it's going to kick out a score and it's going to tell you, would you be, one of the top candidates, or would you be somewhere in the middle? And so I'm just going to click that, and it's already up and running. So you can see here, it just says, upload your resume. So the first step is to upload your resume. So let's go back to my resume. So my resume is here. I'm just going to save it to the desktop, right? So you can save it as a Word document, or you can save it as a PDF. To save as a Word document, you would just, of course, click Save a Copy. You can go here to Browse, and then you can just find your desktop, and you can save it there if that's the easiest place. Okay, let's call this one just Risk Manager Template Resume 1. So I'm just going to save this one to the desktop and say got it. Another way that you could save it is you can always go to File and you can do Save as Adobe PDF. What's the benefit of an Adobe PDF? You can't edit it anymore. It kind of locks in the words a little bit easier. People without Microsoft Word can probably open it on their phone, even if they don't have Microsoft Word. So I'm also just going to save it to my desktop under the same name, Risk Manager Template Resume 1. And now it's converting it to a PDF. Okay. So now here's the PDF version. Notice that I can't go in and change anything. All I can do is see it as kind of a read-only type document. Okay. So the first thing that it asks you to do is upload your resume. And then it says, find the job posting on a website, and then click the button below and it's going to analyze. So let's try that. So let's just say, I'm going to still want to go to, let's go to Amazon Jobs. That's just the one I'm most familiar with. All right, so here we go. So let's say I wanted to find a job as a, let's just call it a risk manager in Seattle. And you're going to hit go, and okay, here we go. There's a job. It was posted on January 10th. It's called Risk Manager for Lending Business to Business Payments. So now I'm on the website. You can see here it has the job description, the basic qualifications. Again, all those keywords that we talked about. Like right here, you see robust analytical skills, ability to be hands-on, dive deep, SQL, Python, and SAS. So a lot of keywords in here. We're already jumping out. Master's degree in business, engineering, statistics, computer science, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to again pull up Jobalytics now that I'm on the website where the job is. And I have my resume uploaded. So let's upload new resume. We'll go to my desktop. And I'm going to find the resume that I just saved there. Where is it? Right here. Risk Manager Template Resume 1. I'm going to hit open. You're going to notice that it changes here and it shows now that I have uploaded my current resume. And I'm on the job site for the job that I would like to apply for. So now let's see what our score is. I want to hit Analyze Job Description. And there we go. I'm at 21% match. Does anybody think I'm getting a job offer for 21%? I'm not, right? You want to be up in the 80, 85, 90 percentile range. So it shows you here in green. So these green underlines are places that you've done well. So these are words that you have in your resume that are also in the job description. So it says keyword matches, written, SQL, small, performance, and data, and I can hit show more. But really the ones that I really want to know is, what am I missing? I am missing business to business solutions. And again, this is the job description in the background here. So anything highlighted in red is, it looked at my resume and it didn't see that. It did not see in my resume that I had Python or SAS, design, cross-functional. So it tells me all the words that I need to update. Let's go back and update the resume just a little bit and see if it makes an improvement. And we're just going to kind of have a little fun with this. 1 second. So let's pull it up. And I'm just going to type all those words at the end here. Let's see if it picks it up. All right. What were some of the words we were a little bit short on? Okay, so risk management. Fast innovation. Python, I remember that one. SAS. Attention to detail. Basic and paste. Basic, paste. These are really the hot ones in here, right? Where it says basic qualifications. So let's make sure we got all that. Let's do cross-functional. I like that one. Let's see, problem and business judgment. Written communication, fintech, which means financial tech companies. And we'll do one more. Let's do design and innovation. Okay, so let's go back again. So we looked at this job. We had Jobalytics review our resume, and it showed that we were 21, 22%. Okay, so now that we've fixed our resume, let's go back and we're going to save this as, again, to the same location on the desktop, but let's call this one resume 2. We're going to save it. So you got it. Close it out. I'm going to go back here to this website here. Let's see. And where can we update our resume? Let's go over here. Upload a new resume. Again, back to my desktop. And let's find the new version. So the new version is resume 2. And remember, we were at 22%. So let's see if this helps a little bit. So again, we're still on the web page for the same job. We've uploaded our new resume with those keywords. We're going to hit analyze job description, and we bumped up to 56%. Okay, pretty good. There's still some red in here. Fast paced, solution, business to business. So there's still some red in here indicating words that we could still work a little harder to get into our resume. Because again, you're not going to get a lot of hits if you don't have a lot of these keywords. So it's just so important. And again, obviously you can't just do what I did for the purposes of just demonstration today. I did just add the words at the end of the resume. Of course, if you were to do this in real life, you would want to incorporate those keywords into your professional summary. You would maybe want to make them part of these bullet points right here, or you can incorporate those words into uh, the section under your professional experience where you're talking about some of your previous jobs. So just for the purpose of speed today, I just added these in there. But if I wanted to work hard, I could easily put written communication into part of my experience. I could easily put attention to detail, worked on basic projects at a quick pace, worked on cross-functional teams. Cross-functional just means you didn't just work on your team, you worked across multiple functions and multiple areas to affect change, which we've all done. If you've worked before, problem solver, business judgment, these aren't hard things to incorporate into your resume. Maybe you just didn't word it that way. And that's why it's so important that, if you go to a new job or a new position that you're applying for, maybe they're not looking for these words. Maybe they have a different set of words to say the same thing, right? So that's the main things I wanted to share with you guys today, was to demonstrate Jobalytics, how that works, and make sure that you guys have that in your toolkit as you're out there and you're fine tuning your resume. This is a tool that gives you some insight on what the company is going to do with your resume once you apply. They're going to run it through a computer system and it's going to kick out a score. So now you have access to something similar, which will help you, I believe, have an advantage when you're applying up against those people that don't know about tools like this. So that's what I wanted to share. Are there any questions? We got about 10 more minutes left. I wanted to open up the floor for any questions that you guys might have.